Okay, so today's January 13th, 2017, and this video is just for the Course in Miracles people. Some of you guys are having a tough time. I'm going to do an EFT tapping video separate from this, but this one is just for A Course in Miracles people for today, lesson 13. So January 13th, we start on January 1st, and as we shift from fear to love, our egos are going to get a little nervous at some point, and so a lot of people are having a little difficulty. So I'm going to read what today's lesson is, and then I'm going to read it through once, and I'm going to show you how to tap through with the lesson, all right, to make it easier. Lesson 13, a meaningless world engenders fear. Today's idea is really another form of the preceding one, except that it is more specific as to the emotion aroused. Actually, a meaningless world is impossible. Nothing without meaning exists. However, it does not follow that you will not think you perceive something that has no meaning. On the contrary, you will be particularly likely to think you do perceive it. Recognition of meaninglessness arouses intense anxiety in all the separated ones. It represents a situation in which God, and use whatever God term you like, universe, Buddha nature, Buddha self. So if the word God, some people have a little hard time with it, just change it to universe or whatever you like. Okay. It represents a situation in which God and the ego challenge, quotes, each other as to whose meaning is to be written in the empty space which meaninglessness provides. The ego rushes in frantically to establish its own ideas there, fearful that the void may otherwise be used to demonstrate its own unreality. And on this alone, it is correct. It is essential, therefore, that you learn to recognize the meaningless and accept it without fear. So remember, as a human, we can only come from love or fear. On the physical plane, it's there's two. Everything's in two. So fear or love, not both at the same time. Just like when something happens to you, you go one of two places. Either your energy goes towards being a victim, or your energy goes towards finding a solution. Oh, and I grew my nails. You can't really see. But I went to the beach house, and now I have nails, and I didn't have to glue any on. Okay. So, it is essential, therefore, that you learn to recognize the meaningless and accept it without fear. If you are fearful, it is certain that you will endow the world with attributes which it does not possess and crowd it with images that do not exist. To the ego, illusions are safety devices, as they must also be to you, who equate yourself with the ego. The exercises for today, which should be done about 3 or 4 times for not more than a minute or so at most each time, are to be practiced in a somewhat different way from the preceding ones. With eyes closed, repeat today's idea to yourself, then open your eyes and look about you slowly, saying, I am looking at a meaningless world. Repeat this statement to yourself as you look about. Then close your eyes and conclude with, a meaningless world engenders fear because I think I am in competition with God, or universe, or Buddha self, Buddha nature. You may find it difficult to avoid resistance in one form or another to this concluding statement. Remember, you guys haven't watched the other videos probably, but I channeled a really long time ago that resistance is where all pain comes from. All right. Oh my God. I'm like shorting out. There's so much to teach here. You may find it difficult to avoid resistance in one form or another to this concluding statement. Whatever form such resistance may take, remind yourself that you are really afraid of such a thought because of the vengeance of the enemy. You are not expected to believe the statement at this point and will probably try to dismiss it as preposterous. There's a word we don't use enough. Note carefully, however, any signs of overt or covert fear which it may arouse. This is our first attempt at stating an explicit cause and effect relationship of a kind which you are very inexperienced in recognizing. Do not dwell on the concluding statement and try not even to think of it except during the exercise periods. That will suffice at present. Okay, so there's two things that come up when we do these exercises. So there's the fear. Okay, so we're shifting. This is the whole point of the Course in Miracles, is to shift from fear to love. And this is the book I'm reading from. Oh, it's backward, huh? Well, I don't know how to fix that. Put it up to the mirror and you can read it if you can't figure that out. Okay, so we're trying to shift from fear to love. We're not trying. We are. We're shifting from fear to love, little bit every day. So you don't have to, be perfect starting now. That's why my only New Year's resolution is to not make a New Year's resolution, because it just sets me up for being disappointed in myself. So if you just shift 1% every 3 days, then you will shift 100% before a year. So after 300 days, that's all it'll take. So this course is amazing for that. So, but anytime you're experiencing an ending, endings are sad. They're always sad, and new beginnings are scary. So we're shifting, day by day, very slightly, very gently. That's the whole point. But in each day, there's a little bit of ending and there's a little bit of beginning. So every day there's a little sadness and a little fear that's going to come up. And I posted that what I'm doing, and I encourage you guys to do the same, is to like look for that fear, look for that trepidation is the better word. I use trepidation. Look for it and feed on it. Like, where is it? And then you get it and you're like, okay, you ride it like you're riding, like a surfer riding a wave. You try and ride on that trepidation, try and like look for it in every moment, kind of like feel for it and be like, yeah, there it is. Okay, I got a little bit of a thread. Okay, yeah, well, there's a little more, there's a little less. So you kind of ride it like a surfer rides a wave. All right, I said that. Okay, so now I'm going to do the tapping. And if anyone who's stumbled upon this video and you're not in our Course in Miracles, feel free to contact me through Facebook, Carla Bates Barzetti. I only use my Facebook page to raise my own vibration and the vibration of the collective consciousness, and try and clear as much fear out as possible, because I feel like we're moving into a new age here. I'm not the only one who feels that the energy is getting pretty intense, and if you're not trying to shift, your life is probably going to get more painful. So I'm just using Facebook as a way to help as many people as possible shift with me. So I'm creating my friend group, I guess. Anyway, let's do the tapping. Okay, so a meaningless world engenders fear. All right. And then, all right, so with eyes closed, you're going to say that, and then you're going to open your eyes and look around slowly and say, I'm looking at a meaningless world. Okay, so I'm just going to do this with you. All right. So you close your eyes, and I like to put my hands over my heart. This reminds me where I'm coming from. Just take a breath and settle yourself in. Just feel the weight of your body. Okay. So anytime you're going to feel the weight of your body, you're grounding yourself. And just helps you, because like meditation is awesome, but you really want to meditate from a grounded place, because we are in a body for a reason, and we really need to take care of our bodies. That's another thing that's happening these days. So people are becoming more sensitive to different foods and stuff like that. Okay, so with your eyes closed, centered in your body, feeling your body. So feeling yourself grounded to the physical plane. And if you have a hard time getting there, Just make 3 hard fists. Just, and that'll anchor you into the physical plane. Okay. A meaningless world engenders fear. Kind of let those words reverberate inside. A meaningless world engenders fear. Then we open our eyes and we look around. And I'm just going to look around at things and I'm just going to say, I'm looking at a meaningless world. But if I'm having a hard time with keeping up with these or having my ego really go, you're changing too fast. No, I don't want to do this. So it's going to tap. So I'm going to tap with you. I am looking at a meaningless world. So I'm just looking at things. Just look around. I'm looking at a meaningless world. Just do it. It's here. I'm looking at a meaningless world. Just keep looking around as you tap and breathe. I'm looking at a meaningless world. I'm looking at a meaningless world, but keep your eyes moving in a normal rhythm, breathing in and out on every point. I'm looking at a meaningless world. I'm looking at a meaningless world. Glad I blew my nose before this video. I'm looking at a meaningless world. I'm looking at a light switch right now. Doesn't matter. I'm looking at a meaningless world. I'm looking at some kind of Lego monstrosity my son made. Oh, I'm underneath here. Here. Enjoy the show. Right here. I'm looking at a meaningless world. So I yawned, which is releasing stagnant energy. I don't need to know why. But if I'm yawning, I'm going to stay on that point till I'm done yawning. Let me see if I can get another one. I'm looking at a meaningless world. So whatever the crap that's in this meridian that I'm tapping on, meridian tapping, that's what I'm releasing. I don't need to know what it is, but if I do need to know, it'll pop into my head. No problem, no big deal. I'm looking at a meaningless world. Another one. Doorknob. I'm looking at a meaningless world. And you wouldn't say doorknob. Okay, so I didn't yawn. Just gonna do one more. I'm looking at it. Great. I'm looking at a meaningless world. Okay. And now the last point is on your hand between your ring finger knuckle and your pinky knuckle. Right there. I'm looking at a meaningless world. So I'm going to go through the points faster this time. Ready? I'm looking at a meaningless world. Top of the head. I'm looking at a meaningless world. I'm looking at a meaningless world. But again, I'd be looking at all different things. I'm just tired of looking around right now. But you would be looking around right now. Inhale and exhale down your point. I'm looking at a meaningless world. I don't have to know what that is. But I'm going to stay on this point because I yawned. I'm looking at a meaningless world. And if you have doTERRA oils, even better. This is so much better with doTERRA oils. I notice a huge difference. I'm looking at a meaningless world. 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 Looking at a meaningless world. Either side, doesn't matter. Okay. I'm looking at a meaningless world. Now I'm going to go through the points faster. Ready? And I'll say the point. I'm looking at a meaningless world. Top of the head. I'm looking at a meaningless world. And again, I'm looking around instead of looking at you guys. I'm looking at a meaningless world. I breathe in, make my belly as big as I can. Big belly. I'm looking at a meaningless world. Big belly breath. I'm looking at a meaningless world. I'm looking at a meaningless world. So pretty when I yawn. So pretty. I'm looking at a meaningless world. And with A Course in Miracles, you start with things close to you, and then you move farther out, you know. And you don't look at every single thing, because that can create obligation that, and then that creates like if I force myself to look at every single thing and say it, then I'm not doing the exercise, because if I'm just doing every point, a robot, you know, can do that. So it's got to stay. It's got to have that human aspect where I'm just looking, saying, looking, say it, look, say it, look, say it, look, say it. I'm not trying to get every single thing I see. I'm just doing it for a minute or whatever they say. Okay. I'm looking at a meaningless world. I'm looking at a meaningless world. Looking at a meaningless world. And that doesn't matter the order. We just usually go from the top down. I'm looking at a meaningless world. Okay? So again, breathing in, top of the head, inside eyebrows, outside of the eyes, under the eyes. Breathing on every point, saying it at every point. Here, 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 or here. Doesn't matter. And here, or here. Okay? And people also tap with one hand. One hand. One hand. That's fine too. Actually, tapping while you're driving is like so awesome. If everybody tapped while they drove, there would be zero road rage. Nick Ortner has free tapping videos that are awesome. Ortner. He wrote the Tapping Solution book. He has things you can sign up for where you get his messages. He wrote a children's book, and he gave a free one to everyone in the school system who wanted one. I thought that was just awesome. So Nick Ortner, he's also he's a Hay House. He's published by Hay House, and he was in the I Can Do It summit where it was Wayne Dyer's. I think it was his last speaking engagement I got to see. So very cool people doing very, very cool things, and please keep that in your mind. There's a lot of cool people doing a lot of cool things. It doesn't matter what you look at, it matters what you see, and you need to focus your mind in a positive way so that you keep the positivity coming. There's so much good stuff going on, you guys. It's unbelievable. All right, I love you. I hope this helps. Sorry, it's longer than I expected. Have fun with your Course in Miracles. And you can always message me if you have any questions or want to do private sessions. I'm available for stuff like that. And if you're interested in doTERRA, because I talk about them a lot in my videos because they're just amazing, just message me on Facebook, Carla Bates Barzetti. Okay, thanks. Have a great day. Bye.